Hi, my name's Sara Fennah. I'm a Microsoft Certified Trainer, MVP, member of the Viva Explorers, and also a big fan of Teams and Copilot. And I'm here today to talk to you about how you can demo Copilot for Microsoft 365 without offending the demo gods, we hope. So, as we're adopting this new technology, we need strategies to demonstrate it. We're doing these sessions, we're talking to customers, we're talking to colleagues, and we need techniques that allow us to showcase the abilities of the tool without giving away trade secrets. So in this session, I'm going to look at how you can set up your demonstrations to help avoid problems, the techniques that we can use as we're demoing to showcase the features that we want to showcase without showcasing the data we don't want to showcase. And finally, looking at how we can craft our scenarios to really showcase the features, but also to bring the audience in to what we're demonstrating. Excuse me. Now, the key challenges we face when demoing any of the copilots are quite similar. And the challenges we face fall into these categories, really. We have challenges with any demo to find an environment where we can showcase features and content appropriately without surfacing private information, but also making sure we have all of the functionality and features available. Now with Copilot, the Copilots require additional licenses in most cases, and that means we've got to set up additional environments, and that can be expensive. Or the other option is that we demo in our live environment with live information, but that then presents us with the challenge of how do we use this and show its true power without actually exposing things we don't want to expose. And then, as with any tool, we need ideas. Yeah, one of the biggest challenges for Copilot adoption amongst users is for them to understand where it can help them, especially when we're talking about Microsoft Copilot and Copilot for Microsoft 365. From a productivity perspective, users need to identify where that fits into their day-to-day work. And when we're demonstrating the products and the features, we need to tap into that and give them ideas. It's not just about the how, it's also about the what. Now, we all know that demos are much better when they are performed live. A pre-recorded full session like this, it's okay to video your demos because no one really knows that you're not doing it now. But when you're presenting in person, it is really important that you can pull up the tool and show it actually works. Now with AI, the fear, the lack of understanding is there, and our demos also need to counteract that fear and the disbelief that the tools actually work. So it is important that we try and work out how to do at least proportions of our demo live. And then the other challenge is, in a productivity environment, we collaborate with our colleagues. And what we want to do is we want to show how these tools can help us in the full round, including in the collaboration. Now, this challenge isn't unique to any particular part of an organization, any particular co-pilot, any particular organization. And if you look back at the build keynote from May 24, as this has been recorded, you will also see that even Microsoft struggled with the demos. So one of the demos during the keynote was actually from a live environment with live data and real use cases. Now that was pre-recorded because some of the content needed to be redacted. Quite a nice technique to show how it is finding the valuable information, but quite high risk if you haven't got those video editing skills or tools available to you. So those are our challenges. What strategies can we use to get over those problems? Well, prepare. Okay, if we are working in a live environment, then we need to be very careful what we're going to demonstrate, and we therefore need to make sure we prepare our content stored in appropriate locations, and we need to test out all of our demos to make sure they fully work. Okay, if you're going to demo in a demo environment, then you're going to have to create that environment, build up content in there, and again, practice. You've got to know that your demos are going to work. We do with every other demo we do. And the same is true when we're demonstrating any of the co-pilots. Now, in Microsoft Copilot, it's quite easy to come up with the strategies for demonstrating because that's publicly available data. Yeah, so it's then about building the examples, testing them out, improving them over time, so changing them slightly. But in that scenario, I would recommend you keep a document with your prompts in so you can copy and paste them in and not have to type them. It's quite difficult to keep your talk track going while typing, making sure you've got your spelling right. Are you following your script? A copy and paste is much easier. Okay. If we're talking about Copilot from Microsoft 365 and you decide to go with the demo in your live environment, then you need to make sure that the content you're going to demo on is something that you can demo against. Okay, so either you choose content which is publicly available or not sensitive that you can demo from, or you create dummy content. Whichever one of those two you're going to do, I would recommend putting that content into dedicated locations. So for example, on this screenshot here, I've got a Copilot demos folder in my OneDrive. And I can go into that folder and I can use any of the documents in there because I know they're clean for use for demonstration purposes. Okay. In my email, I have a folder for Copilot demos and I collapse down all of my other folders so that the information is not visible. And then I can do all of my email demos from there. And I keep copying emails into that space for use. Now it's important to clean that out so that we're not confusing the way Copilot can work for ourselves. So it needs to have enough information in it to work, but I need to keep on top of cleaning that out because they are copies of the information because I want them filed in their appropriate places. And one of the things I find really useful for doing demos of emails are the Microsoft blogs on Copilot. So using Power Automate to subscribe to them, have them delivered as an email, use a rule in Outlook to then copy that into my Copilot demos folder, as well as my blogs folder where I happen to store those, so that I can read them but also use them for demonstration purposes. So it's about preparing those locations and choosing your techniques. And then once you've got that sorted, create yourself little demo scripts. Now, this isn't something that's necessarily going to run automatically. I don't mean that kind of script. We're talking about a training script. So write out the steps that you're going to take. It's only your aid memoir. It doesn't need to be an instruction that anyone can follow. It needs to be something you can add to your slide notes and look at really quickly to carry out your demonstration steps. I would also recommend that you store your prompts somewhere you can copy and paste them. However, when you're copying and pasting prompts, sometimes if you're copying from PowerPoint, it tries to paste them as a picture and we get odd results. So try where you want to copy and paste your prompts from. A notebook is a notepad file or a OneNote file. It's quite a nice one because it doesn't tend to bring with it formatting. Or if you're copying from any other kind of format, do try and paste in as plain text so you don't get those anomalies creeping in to your demo and causing confusion. So choose your strategy. Are you going demo tenant, in which case you need to be preparing your dummy content? Are you going live tenant, in which case you need to be preparing your demo content? Yeah. If you're going with your live tenant, I'm suggesting a dedicated location, but for both strategies, I would recommend building your demo scripts, your steps that you're going to take, and your prompts so you can copy and paste them. So when we're going to do our live demos, you need to decide which tool you're going to use. There's multiple ways of doing all sorts of different things with all of the different tools that we work with day to day. So if I think about Microsoft Copilot, do I demo through the Windows app for Copilot? Do I demo through copilot.microsoft.com? Do I demo through Bing Chat? Do I demo through the Outlook sidebar? Is it good to have a variance between them? Yeah. Am I going to demo from mobile? Am I going to demo from PC? Am I going to demo from Mac? Do I need all of the above? And it will depend on your audience and the purpose of the session, what you're trying to get across. Less is usually more from our perspective as the demonstrators. It's important that we can cope with the demonstration we've given ourselves. Yes, it looks good if we're switching from Windows to Mac to iOS to Android to this browser and that browser, but can you keep it all straight in the pressure of your demo? Okay, so do think about what you want to achieve, and maybe that's where you can mix your live demo with your video. Yeah, live demo on one platform, and then video demo, use your pre-recorded demos for your other platforms. And mix it up. Don't do the same demo across all of the platforms unless it's some form of comparison. If it's a comparison, can you play your videos side by side? Can you get the timings right to do that? There's lots of different ways we can make our demos be really impactful. So think about what it is you're trying to achieve and how that would look visually. Make sure your files, windows are all set up. So if I'm going to demo Copilot, I put all of the files and apps that I want onto my shared screen in the right setup. So for example, if I'm going to pull up my Outlook like that, it's on my shared screen ready to go on my Copilot demos folder before I start. Okay, so before I start my presentation, it's there, it's up, it's ready. So think about how you can get set up to make life easier for yourself. And consider using different Windows desktops if you don't have different screens available to you. Are you going to ad lib? Some of us are much better at ad libbing than others. I'm okay, but I sometimes get a bit lost. So I like to have an idea of what I'm going to say. I like to have an idea of the prompts I'm going to use. Do I tweak them slightly? Yes, and especially if you get questions. Okay, but maybe try out a few different versions of your prompts so that you know you can change some bits of it and be ready to go with those ad libs that you've half prepared. I think, however, probably the biggest challenge is what scenarios can you demo? Now, unless you're presenting about a case study and you've got some great examples from that case study that you can showcase that don't include information that's not suitable for the environment that you're demoing in, coming up with those ideas can be really tough. Coming up with prompts and made up documents and fabricated emails, it's almost a full-time job, and we don't have time. Thankfully, we do have tools to help us with creating content. After all, isn't that what generative AI started out as? A content generator. So ask Copilot for ideas. And at the moment, I'm using the Microsoft Copilot for my ideas and for drafting a lot of my dummy content. Because it's grounded in the web, it tends to be more varied than using Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is primarily grounded in my Microsoft 365 data. So it's more like the norm that I work with. Okay, so get some ideas, get some content to work on. That content will need to be freshened up every so often. So you'll need to add new sections to your documents or create updated spreadsheets of your existing ones. So keep hold of the prompts that you use to generate your demo content so you can use them again, maybe with a slight variation, so you're getting different content. And don't keep hold of your demo content. If you're demoing in a live Microsoft 365 environment and your your Copilot for Microsoft 365 runs across all of your data, then where you store your demo content might start to become more utilized when you're doing real Copilot interactions. I don't want to find my demo company handbook. I want to find my real company handbook. Okay, so think about naming conventions. Think about where you're going to store things. We can't, if we're doing, especially when we're talking about Copilot for Microsoft 365, we can't restrict access to our demo content from our main interaction, because Copilot needs access to that information for it to work on that information. So I've got to build up my strategies, not just my scenarios. Maybe you want to take advantage of retention labels. Retention labels are great for getting rid of out-of-date data, especially on temporary locations. Yeah, so we can go and set up retention to help control the fact that we don't want to keep that demo information for too long and have too much of that content polluting our live Copilot environment. Okay, so ideas, draft your content, test your scenario, have spare copies. Okay, keep a template somewhere different if you're using your document for and making changes to it, so you can go back to the plain version nice and easily, especially if you start getting to the limits of the versioning settings you've got on your location. So do plan ahead. Do think, right, how do I get back to this starting point once I've gone through my whole demo? So coming back to our challenges, live tenant or not, if I use my live tenant, I've got to either pick out live information or I've got to create dummy content. I need those ideas. I can get my ideas from what I do daily, or I can get my ideas from an idea generating tool like Microsoft Copilot. Yeah. Mix and match the live demo with the video. The video might give you more opportunity to demo something that does include some sensitive content, and then we can use video editing tools to redact the information we don't want to share. Okay, and also that video demonstration can give you the opportunity to build in collaboration with colleagues. If you're demonstrating emails and chats and meetings, get your colleagues involved in helping you imagine and create the dummy content. And that way you've got that interaction, you've got their uniqueness coming into the content that you're going to demo as well. It makes it a bit more interesting than just what's coming out of your own brain. I know that there's going to be some absolutely wonderful demonstrations across this month of Copilot with the Copilot connection. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity to present my ideas to you, and I hope they're helpful for the people who are preparing their demonstrations, both for this event and other events. Don't miss any of the other month of Copilot sessions. Do subscribe to the Copilot connection. I'm sure you'll find all of the links in whatever means you're watching this on. And finally, thank you very much for your time. I hope you found this useful.